Live from the UATV studio, I'm your host, Mike Raven. From WildcatAuthority.com, Derek Basenden. From the Daily Wildcat, Annie Marham. And from Camp Radio Sports Director, Zach Clark. This is the Dorm Room Sports Chat. What's up, Wildcats? Tonight, a former Wildcat, a finalist for Women Athlete of the Year. Pac-12 football midterm week. Who passes? Who fails? And the new guy on the block, or ice. Sean Hogan joins me under the Bear Down spotlight. But first, the football team is off this week, and they have not rested since they lost their 5th straight game to the Beavers last weekend. Greg Byrne announced this past Monday that Mike Stoops has been dethroned after 8 seasons as the head coach. Defensive coordinator Tim Kish will step in and serve as the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Now, Stoops did start turning the program around, leading the team to 3 straight bowl games, but losing the final 5 games last season and a 1-5 start to this season did not help his cause. Byrne has immediately started a search for a new coach and said he will not comment until one is found. Now, there's many mixed emotions on campus right now. Social media has been blowing up since the announcement, and I think we all had a feeling about this coming. But Annie, did you expect it this soon, mid-season?
I can't say that I was surprised by it. You can just tell that Stoops isn't Byrne's guy. He wants to find somebody for himself, and when he didn't re-up his contract for the next 3 years, I think, everybody knew it was coming, especially with the losing record we've had.
Absolutely. Greg Byrne decided that he was not going to give Stoops his contract extension. And here's the thing that I found not surprising about this move. Stoops this weekend, during the bye week, it's very common for coaches to recruit during the bye week. How are you going to send a guy like Mike Stoops into a child's living room and sell the program when he can't sell his own self, being 1-5? So I think that the decision was pretty easy this week.
Now, Zach, I want you to kind of expand a little more on that. Now, we all know Greg Byrne's done a lot of good since he's come here and taken over as the athletic director, and he's made a lot of good decisions, getting Sean Miller to stay. Obviously, that looks like it's going to work out too. Now, do you really think that he made the right call here? And I want you to talk about more and expand more on his intentions of making this move right now.
Sure. So Greg Byrne's main job here, and he's a fundraiser. He's the athletic director, but his style of athletic directing, if you will, is fundraising. And you see the scoreboard, and they're going to break ground on the North End Zone project in January. But the North End Zone project is not yet been paid for, and you cannot sell a 1-5 football team or whatever they might end up at, 4-11 or however it finishes, 4-8. So I think he did it from an economic standpoint, and I think Annie touched on it earlier too. That Stoops is not Byrne's guy, so to say, and so Byrne will now have a chance to put his stamp on this program in a football way, and coming from the SEC, that's something that he is more than comfortable doing.
I think you completely tell that Byrne is somebody who wasn't just about to come into this program and let things go and just kind of be the standby guy and see how things go. He wants to make his mark. He did a great job with keeping Sean Miller here, and now, hopefully with the relationships that he has, it can maybe help out and he can make his mark here.
And now, Annie, there's a whole second half to this season, and now Tim Kish is going to step up in that head coach role coming in for Stoops. But how much pressure is this guy going to face, not only coming in mid-season, but he's coming into a 1-5 Arizona team?
As far as pressure goes, I'm sure there's some, but nobody's really expecting, the change in the world. We're not going to go to Rose Bowl. We're not going to, win the South. So I think he's got pressure, but the hardest part of the season's behind us. And so if he can do something with the rest of this season, and as long as him and the guys can get a rhythm down, I think he has a good chance of at least doing something.
Yeah, and I agree. I think there's, as a matter of fact, I think there's no pressure on him here. He knows that he's not going to be the head coach of this football team next year, and he's probably relatively certain that he won't even be at Arizona after this season because the new head coaching change will come through, and whoever the head coach may be will bring in his new guys. So this is effortless football at this point. The only thing that he's working for is a job in the future. But this is a guy that's been a coordinator at the Big Ten and the Pac-10, now 12, for 19 seasons. So he's well established. And I think you'll see him at another program at a high level very soon, as in probably next season.
And Zach, I want you to continue. You said, obviously, we're going to be getting a new head coach, and the process has started. Now, anyone out there that you can see as a good fit for Arizona right now?
Yeah, I think there's a couple good fits out there for Arizona. The first one and the most sexy name out there right now is Chris Peterson, who is the head coach currently at Boise State University. They've been to two BCS games, I believe, a couple undefeated seasons. And this is a program at Boise State that's been they've established themselves, but their conference and football as a whole is it's very up and down right now. Their future, as far as what conference they're going to play in the future, will they make that next step to an AQ school? I don't know. I think if for the right amount of money, I think he can come down here, and I think that we can assume pretty easily that this is a job now that'll be about double what it was before. Ballpark about $2.5 million. So that's a lot more than he's making at Boise State. So I think he right now is going to be the fan favorite. Mike Bellotti, former coach at Oregon and athletic director there as well. Also a very popular guy. And Greg Byrne knows them both from his days at Oregon and their days at Oregon. Chris Peterson was on staff at Oregon, as was Bellotti, obviously. So, I mean, there's at least those two, and there's a couple more out there as well that I can see.
And what about the other rumor about Mike Leach?
You know, my problem with Mike Leach is we don't need more crazy.
Okay,
There's
that's exactly what.
And you can't bring a guy in
who locked a kid in a closet.
And it's not only that he
and was fired from Texas Tech.
Not only locked a kid in the closet, but he locked a kid in the closet whose dad works for ESPN. You got to be a little bit smarter.
You got to know when to fire, when not to.
We can save that conversation for another day.
Later.
Annie, I want you to finish this off. What do you see in the future for the 49-year-old Stoops? He's leaving Arizona with a 41-50 record, a 1-2 record in bowl games.
And you can answer your phone on TV or
Annie.
Focus.
Silence? Okay.
Thank you.
Any potential school he might end up at, or do you think he's done coaching? And I hope that wasn't Stoops right now telling you what to say.
Actually,
got him on the hotline next time you pick that up.
I was just told, Stoops just called and he said, no, I'm not done coaching. But I don't know if being the head coach is right for everybody. I think, he's got great things. He's a defensive guy. And I don't see him giving up the job of playing and coaching the game at all. Maybe something with his brother, something. I don't think it'll be Pac-12. I don't think it'll be Western at all. And
this is a guy that can afford to take the year off. He's going to make $1.4 million in the buyout. And since 2004, being here in Arizona, he's made almost $10 million. So if he didn't work, I don't think he'll work this next season. I think he might take a year off. But I'd like to see him as a defensive coordinator somewhere at a higher level. And I do think that he could be the head coach at a program that's a little less visible.
There you go.
So to say.
For now.
But football is in his blood. It has been. It's throughout his whole family, and you'll see him back again. No question.
All right. Well, we're going to take a commercial break and silence all our phones. When we come back, Annie Chandler dives into the pool of 9 finalists to be chosen for NCAA Woman of the Year.
Bullshit, I heard.
Yeah. I didn't.
Go up in the middle of our show.
I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
Practice?
Former Wildcat swimmer Annie Chandler has been chosen as one of the 9 finalists for NCAA Woman of the Year. She appears in Indianapolis tonight for the awards ceremony. Last year's winner, Justine Schlentz, also swimming, graduated from the University of Arizona. Chandler is an NCAA Division I swimming national champion, a record holder in the 100-meter breaststroke. She graduated cum laude with a journalism degree and also earned first-team academic All-American honors by ESPN, the magazine. Aside from 6 additional national championships, Chandler competed internationally in 2008 and 2010 with the U.S. women's national team. Now, Annie, if Chandler is selected, she will be the 3rd female athlete from the University of Arizona to be named Woman of the Year. Now, what is Arizona doing right to keep producing all these female athletes?
Well, I'm going to go for it here. Maybe it's possibly something in the water. Considering the fact that she would be the 4th Wildcat to win this award, and 3 of them were swimmers. So it's got to be, something. We're recruiting well, and we're working hard, and that's going to produce the kind of athletes that you want.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. Arizona's recruiting high-level, intelligent athletes. I mean, and that's what this award, rewards. And I think you hit it on the head right there.
All right, now Zach, compared to the other finalists, what do you think Chandler's chances are of being selected tonight?
I think she has as good a chance as anybody. She gold medal at the World University Games this summer in Shenzhen, China. But I mean, there's a couple other girls out there that are more than qualified. Danielle Blair, a triple major and captain of the soccer team in Alabama, and then of course Grace Johnson, 3-time NCAA Division I champion soccer Gymnastics. So, but I'm gonna stick at home and I'm gonna pick Annie. Why not?
No, Annie, obviously,
Not this Annie.
not that Annie.
Right.
But I'm talking to
next
this
year.
Annie
Right,
right now.
yeah,
All
maybe
right,
next year.
this Annie, what do you think? Obviously, the other Annie accomplished an enormous amount in the last 4 years, but what do you see her doing from here on out in the future?
Well, I know she was a journalism major here and says she enjoys writing, and she's been doing a lot of traveling with this swim career of hers. So maybe something with journalism, some kind of freelance writing, but also I see her in London for the Olympics.
Yeah, you have to assume that her goal at this point has to be qualifying in June of 2012 for the London Olympics on the United States national team. So I'd say that for now, swimming is in her immediate future.
And Zach, I want you to take this one away. Women's swimming team just kicked off their season in a more than convincing win over Kansas. They won 13 of 14 events. What do you think about the team this season so far?
Arizona has been a powerhouse in the pool for decades. 2 years ago, the men's and women's team simultaneously won national championships, but they will have to replace the legend Frank Bush, their head coach. It's going to be tough, but this is a culture that's used to winning, and I think that'll continue on into the future.
And Eric Hansen said that Bush was one of his mentors and somebody he looked up to a lot. So I had a chance to speak to him a couple weeks ago, and he seems ready, and he seems like he knows what he needs to do and how they're going to get it done. So I think.
All right. Well, I want everybody to keep their eye on the women's swimming team. We'll see what happens with Annie Chandler tonight and if she's selected. Next up, see if new hockey coach Sean Hogan can handle the pressure of the Bear Down spotlight.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hawk with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
And now it's time for the Bear Down Spotlight, brought to you by UATV.
We're back with new hockey coach Sean Hogan. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Good, excellent. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, you're obviously facing a lot of pressure coaching a new team. You ready for some more?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun so far. The Tucson community has been excited about it, and I'm happy to be here.
And how do you plan on moving this team now in the future?
Well, we're going through a culture change here, showing our players what it takes to be successful on the ice. There's a process there, a learning process, as well as being successful off the ice in the classroom, getting our players out in the community, and getting people excited for Wildcat hockey.
And can you talk to me about some of the changes you've made so far coming in to try and take this team to the next
Well,
level?
we've upgraded the schedule. We've upgraded the level of competition. We're going to upgrade the level of the athlete we're bringing here. And we're excited about that, and our players are excited about that. Their commitment level has been renewed. They're excited they have that spark again, and it's going to turn into some good things.
And you were telling me earlier you got a lot of top-ranked teams coming in here to play this
we
season.
do. We've started off our season against 5 straight ranked opponents. Going into next weekend, we're playing Iowa State, which is a top 10 opponent. So our first 7 games have been on the road, all against top 25 competition, and it's something that hasn't been done here in a long time, but we're excited about it.
All right, and talk to me about some of the strengths that this team possesses.
Well, we're fast. We characterize our team as hard to play against. We're going to be fast. We're physical. We get the puck behind the defenseman, and it's a style of game that fans are excited to watch, and it's a fan-friendly event for sure.
You know, this is your first season with a new team. What do you think the hardest obstacle for you and the team to overcome this season is?
Well, there's no one set obstacle. It's the whole culture change, but the players have bought in. They've made it really easy for me because they're excited about it. They know what they're capable of doing, and hopefully by the end of the season we'll make the national tournament for the first time in a lot of years.
And we hope so. And you know, like you said with the players, it's hard when athletes get a new coach. How do you feel your relationship has been so far with these players since you've come in with them?
It's been good, and like I said, the leadership with Brian Slugaki, our captains Jordy Weed and Brady Lefferts have done a great job making the transition easy for me, kind of serving as a catalyst, getting the guys excited, and they've bought right into the process, right into the system, and I'm really happy to coach this group of young men.
And now, what are your plans coming into Arizona as far as what you want to do in the future and try to get more students involved and more fan support from
the university is 100% behind the program now, which is fantastic. They're doing a great job of marketing to the students, bringing students out to the games, to the TCC. the fan base in Arizona hockey has been fantastic for years. It rivals what's done on any college campus in the United States. So that atmosphere is there. That's been built, and they did a great job in the previous administration. Now it's taking the on-ice product, and we're gonna make that make that better each and every day in practice, make that better in the games, and I think they're going to see a noticeable change.
All right, and last question. You've already won 2 ACHA national championships. What's it going to take for you to win another one in the future?
We're going after it this year. We're not making any guarantees, but we're gonna push for it as hard as we can. Our players, they're excited about it. They want to play in a national tournament atmosphere, and I think we can do that this year.
Okay, well, Sean Hogan did a great job. You're out of the Bear Down spotlight. We all wish you the best of luck this season and in the future, and hopefully you'll bring one home. And now Hogan and the team will be traveling to number 9 Iowa State University this Friday night. We're going to take a break. But when we come back, the professors are going to start handing out midterm grades. Stay with us.
When I turn on the TV, I turn it to Channel 3, cause they got all the greatest shows that I've been waiting to see. It's entertaining to me, cause it's pertaining to me and all the other Wildcats in the student body. We're broadcasting live to all the residence halls, so all y'alls in the halls, turn your TVs on to Channel 3 for Sheezy, so you can see me and all the other happy people down at UATV 3.
As I mentioned last show, we're going to be grading and evaluating each Pac-12 football team based on their performance the first half of the season. Each analyst will be given 6 teams by me, and they will give each team a letter grade and an explanation to why. And I don't want to just hear A for Arizona. I'm going to ask one analyst at a time, starting with Annie. I'll say the team, you give me a grade and why. Annie, first team, Colorado.
Colorado, giving them a C. They've been nothing more than average this season, but I mean, a 1-4 record isn't that bad when people weren't expecting much, so they get a C for average.
All right, and the new team on the block, Utah.
Utah, I think a lot of people were really hyped on Utah, and they wanted to see them do well. And it's not Norm's coaching, it's just he doesn't have the players to work with. So I'm giving them a D. Maybe a D plus because they just beat Pittsburgh on the road after a bunch of tough losses, but D plus is all I'm going for.
All right, and we're going to head up north now to the Washington schools. Start with Washington.
Washington, I've got Washington with an A. I think if you give them time to balance out their players, you could see them competing for, Pac-12 North Championship next year. So I think that's somebody to watch for.
All right, and your fourth team, Washington State.
Washington State actually gets an A. A lot of people may not realize this, but they're tied for second place with Oregon. They've had the same amount of schedule and same wins and losses. So right now they're getting an A, almost maybe an A plus. I mean, they could possibly go 7 and 5. So we'll see.
All right, and now we're gonna head back down to Arizona for your 5th and 6th teams, and we'll give you Arizona right now. Be honest.
It is not an A for Arizona. I was talking with Zach earlier about an F or a D. And I'm going to give them a D just to not demean the talented players we do have on this team.
And a D passes.
Because, it's hard to grade them as a team when the qualities of the team are so different. So kicking, you get an F. Defense, F. Offense,
I mean,
D for
offense
effort.
is good. They
Yeah,
put up
You
points.
get a D for offense. They have one of the best quarterbacks.
Okay, A for effort, but they're not getting it done.
No. Look, I'm not lobbying for them. I mean, but yeah, I would have given them an F.
It's okay, but
you're
didn't
the
have,
expert.
You didn't have that team, so
That's
you
what-
don't
that's
have the
what-
option to
that's
grade
what
him.
I'm saying.
Annie, last team, no biases here. ASU, Arizona State.
ASU does get an A. They've been competing, and it's by default, but I mean, they're still going to have a chance here to prove something. And they were competing with Oregon for the first 3 quarters. They just didn't have the stamina to keep it up in that last quarter. And that's what Oregon does to people. they've got their bench are still 4-star recruits. So that's something that ASU is going to have to work on if they want to compete with them for the Pac-12 championship.
All right, Annie, those were some good grades. And now we're going to head over to Professor Zach over there. He's been waiting for this moment right now. First of the 6 teams I want to give you, Stanford.
And, well, I guess we'll let the trend continue. I'm going to give Stanford an A. After the coaching change, they're undefeated. First place in the Pac-12 North. They're going to have a showdown with Oregon in November that will probably determine who goes from the North to the title game. And so as long as you have any luck on your team, I'm giving you an A.
All right, second team, Cal.
Yeah, I'm giving Cal a C-. They're getting a new stadium, so maybe that's what kept them above a D average. But, big losses, 3 in a row, Washington, USC, and Oregon. So I'm giving a C-. I think I'm being generous.
All right, and we're going to head up to Oregon, and I want you to start with Oregon right now. Give me your grade and why.
I'm going to give Oregon an A-. The minus only because of that loss to LSU to open the season. But, as Annie mentioned earlier, they were competing with Arizona State. The game was very close. They lost not only their starting quarterback, but their starting running back, and still managed to blow out Arizona State in the fourth quarter. I cannot wait for that Pac-12 North showdown in November between Oregon and Stanford. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a great one. And now I want you to take over with Oregon State.
Giving Oregon State a D-. Yes, they beat Arizona, but they lost again this week. And, if you lose to an FCS school, you are lucky that I'm not giving them an F because, there's no excuse for that. But big win against Arizona, I suppose, even though the merits of how big it is are questionable considering Arizona's situation. So D-, and I think that's pretty fair.
And Arizona did get a better grade from Annie. They got a D.
Exactly.
So, hey, that's how it goes. And now we're going to head back down to Southern California for your last 2 teams, UCLA.
Yeah, and UCLA, now, if I was going to pick one coach at the beginning of the season that was going to get fired, it was going to be Rick Neuheisel at UCLA. One of the hottest coaching seats in the country, and with a winning record, he's managed to keep his job. I'm giving them a B-. They're going to have a chance to go to 4-2 by beating Arizona this coming Thursday, if that is the case. And, Arizona is struggling, to say the least.
And the last of the Pac-12, the USC Trojans.
The USC Trojans, I'm going to give them a B+. Now, they have only one loss, and it was a very lopsided loss to Arizona State on the road. But this is a good football team, minus their off-the-field problems. Great recruits that they have, excellent players, and Lane Kiffin, whether I like him or not, knows how to win football games.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up the Pac-12. Arizona is back in action Thursday night hosting UCLA on ESPN. Now it's time to take a look at scores around the school. Soccer team almost beating California, but they lost in OT 1-0. But the volleyball team continues to cruise 3-0 at Colorado and 3-1 on Utah. And softball continues fall ball in a dominating fashion. They had 2 mercy rules against New Mexico and Central Arizona, 20-1. We're going to continue taking a look around scores. The cross-country team came back from Wisconsin, the men taking 36, but the women did take 3rd place there. Swimming team, like I mentioned earlier, kicked off the season against Kansas and defeated them in a strong fashion. Now to look at next week, like I said, football. Arizona taking on UCLA Thursday night. First game without Stoops. Check that one out. Soccer team going to California, taking on UCLA and USC. Volleyball team also going to California, taking on Stanford in California. The hockey team, look for Sean and the team at Iowa State University this weekend, Friday and Saturday. And the swimming team, Arizona men will debut, and the women versus UNLV. It's time for the final word. Each analyst will have 30 seconds, as always, to discuss the topic they're choosing. Tonight we're going to start with Annie. Ladies first.
Well, there's a tough loss for Detroit today as they fell to the 49ers, 25-19. And it was tough for me considering Detroit is my defense for fantasy, but it was also tough for Coach Jim Harbaugh. He was approached by Schwartz, and it was supposed to be just a normal high five, normal shaking of the hands. I respect you, you respect me. I think the strength got the best of them, but it was nice to see coaches in that well of shape. Could you imagine Rex Ryan trying to chase down Andy Reid? That would have been my next thing that I'd like to see.
I could imagine that, and I'm laughing in my head right now. Now, obviously, Derek wasn't unable to attend the show tonight, so I'm going to give his 30 seconds to myself, and I'd like to talk about this weekend and the fall in Detroit sports. First of all, Tigers got destroyed 15-5 yesterday
Your
and ended
team
all
made the playoffs.
all hopes ending
Mine
their
did.
run at the World Series. You'll get your 30 seconds. They're by Michigan State defeating Michigan 28-14, and Michigan State making Denard Robinson look like he's a human versus a video game star. He threw for 9 for 24, 123 yards, 18 carries for 42 yards. That ain't gonna cut it, and that's not gonna win football games for them. And lastly, earlier today, Lions at home 5-0, best start in a long time, falling to the San Francisco 49ers 25-19. No miracle comeback today. That's my 30 seconds. I had to throw it out there, and now I'm going to throw it to Zach for his 30 seconds.
I knew I had that coming to me, but I'm going to switch gears a little bit. A guy that we've talked about in the past, Kevin Parham, who is a member of Arizona's basketball team, his mother has finally lost her battle with cancer, and she passed away this evening, so I'm going to keep this really short. But there are so many things in life more important than sports, and we all need to keep that in mind going forward. But my thoughts and prayers are with Kevin and his family, and we wish them nothing but the best moving forward.
We do. We all wish them the best here. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and we'll be back in only 7 days. For Zach and Annie, I'm Mike Rabin. See you next week.
Yeah.